In the early 60s, they made Switzerland their international base. It was a kinder climate for Sutherland's continuing sinus and ear problems. A friend, Noel Coward, helped them find their present house high above Lake Geneva in the village of Les Avants.
And so we ended up looking around the same area where Noel lived and ended up buying the house next door to him. And it is a wonderful lifesaver for both Richard and I because it's very quiet and it is a retreat, and yet it's only an hour from Geneva Airport, and if we have to pack up and leave in a hurry, we can get almost anywhere in the world as easily as if we were living in London.
We live very privately there. We live in our own pine forest, and we have a house full of books and pictures and all my numerous collections of things. There's so much to do there. In a way, it's like living in the 19th century.
Usually there's a lot of work to be learned in Les Avants, and it is the place where we go to try and study our future performances. But we do try and make portions of the day that are given over only to relaxation. Richard's always saying that one of these days he's going to open a shop, and I'm never quite sure if it's just a ruse to placate me so as he can go on collecting so that I don't get my back really up. I think he'd spend his last bob on something if he felt that it was something that he just had to have for that collection of his.
Well, collecting is a disease from which I suffer very strongly. I've always collected, and I expect I'll always go on collecting. My wife threatens to throw me out of the house frequently along with all the stuff, but she's getting used to it now.
A lot of it I frankly can do without, but he seems to think that it's the greatest, and he gets so much pleasure out of it.
Another tune very much like a pop song, very bit sentimental.
Relaxation for Richard Bonning this time home is working on a new version of the Beggar's Opera with Australian-born composer Douglas Gamley.
Just with the major, G major. What key do we want to do this piece in?
I think actually Richard works far harder than I do. I'm basically very lazy, and I'm much happier really pottering around the house than sitting down by the piano and really studying. When I'm in my home, I prefer to look after my home and forget about singing.
A new departure for the Bonnings and their record company is an album of songs taped on location. The music room at Les Avants will become a studio, and the study, the control room.
Well, anyway, you have it.
It's in the tradition of the early records of Melba and Patti, when their record company captured the voices at home.
Are you ready, Dave?
Yes, ready, Jim.
Right, rolling, take 19. That's it, Jimmy. Thank you very much indeed. Fine.
On the terrace between takes, an Australian-style barbecue.
That's good, G. You do a bit more of that.
Did you have a sausage? I thought it was.
Sit up, Buster. Don't slouch like that. You'll get round shoulders, darling.